Uh-oh.
Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Hey, what's going on, Coach Jay? I can hear you loud and clear, but I can't see you.
Can't see me because I need to share the screen with you, Coach Paul. So I'll do that in just a second. But welcome everyone to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If the goal of this session is to review what happened in the markets for the day, we may talk about some markets that you have not traded before. We could take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Coach Jay. I've been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some experience, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome stuff. You are all our chat, our audience. Thank you for joining. Let us know how you did today. Were you up on the day, down on the day, anything that you learned from the day? And we will get right into it. Let's take a look at the news to start. We do know that Jackson Hole is starting this week. We got Fed Powell speaking on Friday. We did have, we had a 20-year bond auction. We had the FOMC minutes come out. Had some earnings, but not a whole lot on the economic calendar. Crude oil inventories came out, of course, a huge miss as to be expected with that number. But what do you got for the news, Coach Paul? Anything you got on the news?
Nothing big that I had seen. I think, like I said, most of the eyes are pointed towards Jackson Hole. Some good fishing, perhaps, but even that, I don't see any. I don't foresee Chairman Powell saying, you're right, I'm going to cut rates down. But the market is definitely waiting to hear something. But nothing really big, and a pretty big move.
Yes, it was. A pretty big move for sure. We did recover a decent amount of it, but that sell-off in the morning looked like we were going, like Jack has been saying on TopstepTV. It looked like the big one. But let's take a look at the markets today to the downside. I realize I'm sharing a different Topstep X screen, so I'll read it up on the side here. Today on the downside, we had soybean oil down 0.77%. The ZN, 6N, what's 6N? Is that the...
ZN is 10-year. 6N is
New Zealand dollar.
I
We have the New Zealand dollar down 1.22%, and the Nikkei down 1.32%. New Zealand dollar, that is a new one for top percentage movers. We don't necessarily see that in the top percentage mover.
The Kiwi
list often. I'm going to pull up a chart for that. And let's just take a quick look at that move. Wow. Just sold off. That was a pretty strong sell-off last night. I don't know what happened in New Zealand, but that was a pretty strong move there. To the upside, we had RBOB gasoline futures up 1.97%, platinum up 2.5%, and micro Ethereum up 5%. Micro Ethereum pulled back a couple of days, but it has been a percentage leader, and not a bad contract to trade, right? We made our jokes about it, but if it's going to keep moving these huge percentages, it is a decent market to trade. To talk about our big four, we had crude oil up 1.88%, the S&P down 0.33%, gold up a full percentage point, and the NASDAQ down 0.68% to round out our big four. I'm going to pull up let's take a look at the S&P chart, Coach Paul. I'm going to pull up an ES chart here on the daily. What are we looking at?
Well, we solid right at the 20-day moving average, and it's definitely beginning to turn, but recovered that 20-day moving average Still in an uptrend. Has it turned? Well, first sign would have to be a settle below it. So whatever the reason for this break, I mean, really didn't follow through. So new highs coming. It's a higher than even probability because as we talk, stocks are designed to go up and buy the dip. Is this the dip to buy? I'm not convinced yet, but it's the trend is still holding.
Trend is still holding. What I saw on the daily, we have this daily open candle here. Sorry, monthly open candle here. We tested the high of it. We'll take a look at that in the NASDAQ as well. We tested right to that high and did find some buyers down there. Like you said, Coach Paul, closing above the 20 moving average. The S&P looking stronger than the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ really quick on the daily. Much weaker here. We have, again, that monthly open. Monthly open candle, that's August 1st. Where did we trade to? Right down to 50% of it, or that 200 moving or 20 moving average, 50 moving average on the daily. It was down at 23.25. Hogue and I talked about this during the opening call that, if we start to see some acceptance of price inside this monthly open, where are we going to find the buyers? That 50 moving average, shout out to Coach Paul for me using that moving average, is a good spot to look. And it was a good spot to look for all the other buyers. And a shout out to Doom and Dakota trading on fast markets today, pretty much calling the low of the market and getting in long there. Didn't hold it for this entire move, obviously, but got back to green because both of them were red before that trade. So nice trade there. Let's just mark out a couple levels here. Mark out that 50 moving average. We'll make that purple. And go down to a 30-minute chart. Let's take a look at this 30-minute Coach Paul from last night's opening. It's a pretty quiet overnight session. I think, Hogue said it as well, coming into the Jackson Hole Powell speech Friday, maybe not expecting a whole lot. We had a pretty big sell-off yesterday, maybe expecting a consolidation day. Decent sell last night. We were under that 200 moving average on the 30-minute, well under it, under the 20 as well. And some decent urgency, but we bounced right at the high of that monthly open candle, came right back to the opening range, and when the New York session started, it seemed like liquidate everything again, Coach Paul.
Well, last night, we thought, is this a good place to buy? With a high probability after a sell-off like that. But that's only a probability market movement. There was no buying as far as the VWAP was concerned.
Yep.
And it just continued. So we see the Nikkei was down, 1.5%?
Yep, 1.5%
down. So right in Asia, Japan continued selling. Interesting. Shout out to you, Coach Jay. Where did it go to?
Right to 50%. 50% of the monthly opening candle. I want to attach a VWAP here. Let's do a monthly VWAP. We're well under it in the NASDAQ. We crossed below it yesterday. In the S&P, it was looked like a decent target in the S&P initially. I think we're back above it now. But this orange line here on my chart is that monthly VWAP. But yeah, right to 50%. From that point, that's where we found the buyers, right? We know they're lurking somewhere. That 50-day moving average was there. We haven't tested that in a long time, right? It's been since April, right? April, we crossed above the 50 moving average and haven't tested it once. That's 112 days since then. So maybe we were due, right? Maybe we were due for a little bit of a pullback. That's 6 down days in a row in the NASDAQ. When's the last time we had 6 down days in a row in the NASDAQ? We talked about it yesterday. It was February, and we remember what happened in February. Does this look a little bit like February?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe. And is there a potential catalyst this week that could give us some volatility? We don't expect Powell to say anything market moving, really, but who knows? Who knows? Or what other comments may come out around that same time, because we know it's not just going to be Powell, right? Uh, he's not going to be the only one talking. But a nice bounce off that 50 moving average, closing the session right around 23,312 right now. The S&P, let's take a look at that monthly view up. Above it as well, kind of right near that 200, that 20 moving average on the daily. I think it was a decent target to the downside. We bounced right off that monthly open candle and keeping the month green so far in the equities. Anything else you got on the equities, Coach Will?
No, I just think tomorrow's we we could see a nice bounce, but there isn't reactive buying as I would consider allocation. I think today's low, especially in the NASDAQ, was the selling stopped. What's getting to be concerning if you're long is the volume is picking up. We saw that just recently on the last correction. We held that low. But I think tomorrow becomes a big day, technically. For a rally that takes out today's high and perhaps yesterday's high. Otherwise, this could be a turn, but since we don't know, we have to plan accordingly. Now, it's still, like I said before, it's still in a bull market. This is a correction, but can it continue? Yeah, watch that 50-day moving average. And especially in the NASDAQ, what is concerning is NASDAQ is leading the way down as it led the way up. 7 days in a row. Well, we kind of did that, like you just mentioned. We did that in April, and it's starting to beginning to kind of look like that.
Yeah, in February, we had these 3 daily dojis. They all technically closed lower than they opened. We had tight ranges. That was those 3 days we have here. And then we start to see that volume come in and break a little bit. That was pretty close to all-time highs. This is at all-time highs. Is it the same pattern? Is it the end? Are we going to break here? I think there's a lot of things that probably need to happen before that. But it's definitely an interesting thing to look at, right? Interesting comparison here. And then there are some differences as well, right? We have a much stronger trend that we've been in since April than what we had in the the run up to February. Right, it was a lot more overlap there. But that could mean that we are due for a sharper pullback, right? As quickly as something goes up, it may come down. We'll see. We will see.
What did the Dow do today?
Let's take a look. Nothing.
So it's still
Consolidated.
holding that rotational movement of value going into safety. Still kind of a safety trade, which is a little bearish for equities overall. But I mean, that's got it's got a lot of resistance up here. How many times have we been up here and just slowing down?
Yep, definitely consolidating up here in the Dow as well. Why don't we take a look at the Russell? Pulling back just a little bit, tagging that 20 moving average on the daily. The Russell, obviously the weakest of all of these, just with the lack of momentum to the upside and how far the Russell is off that all-time high. This thing is pretty much right where we opened up the year in the Russell. All right, let's take a look at gold on the daily. What are you seeing here, Coach Paul?
All right, back to the 20-day moving average we talked earlier. We need to find some buying. We got some buying today, but hardly impressive buying with that volume. But there was, it did rally up to the 20. Can it continue? We shall see. I'm still in the range, still, as you like to say, braiding what the shorter term moving average is. Buy low, sell high. Can this be the high to sell? I don't know, but it did get over the 200 moving average on the half hour.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Let's take a look at last night's open. Oh, well, kind of defaulted to the Asia session open because that's where we see the volume come in. But we know the real open, that Globex open, was here. Nice rally here in gold. We got above that 200 moving average, Coach Paul. I do want to talk a little bit about the house account trade that we took today. It was a little iffy. It was a little iffy taking that trade just because of where we were opening up and how maybe extended we already were for the overnight session. We had a nice rally, pretty much, triggered a short. If you're looking at VWAP leaving the range to the downside, wasn't a whole lot in that move. There's a daily candle we've been tracking, and it is the August 1st NFP candle. And more specifically, the 30-minute candle from that day. That was that NFP print. So we'll tighten up this range just a little bit. And that was the low for the overnight session today. So decent trade here, but we bounced off a higher time frame demand area. And if we look at when the volume starts to pick up for the for gold in that Asia session, this is the Shanghai open candle here, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central. That candle tagged the low, and from that point, it was all buying, all buying. So decent short opportunity if you took it. But more of a see profit, take profit trade. And like you said, Coach Paul, we got above that 200 moving average. I'm going to mark that out and we'll go down to a shorter time frame. Anything you want to say about the overnight session in
Yeah,
gold?
Shanghai was a J trade, the Shanghai opening.
Yep.
And boy, is this short covering? I don't know. Is it value buying? We don't know. But what you just went over, that the candle from August 1st, the CPI candle. There's buying down there. they literally, that selling stopped, and that was Shanghai. We had almost a twin candle right next to it. Stayed in the range, and boy, nice rally. What was that, about a $50 rally?
From the low was 33.53 60. High of the day 33.94.30. So about $40. Really nice day in gold, a market that on a higher time frame is not really going anywhere. We're still talking about this balance range that we've been in for over 100 days. But that range is presenting great opportunity, even if you're kind of late to the move. I'm going to go down to a 5-minute opening range. The pit open for gold is 7:20 Central Time. That is that candle right here. We take the opening range trade every day on TopstepTV. Chat votes. Chat is always voting for the 5-minute opening range. And in this case, it triggered a long. When we took this trade, Coach Paul, we were crossing that 200, getting ready to cross that 200 moving average, right? That's that white line on my chart here, pretty much the high of that opening range. And one of the things I know you like to do is attach a VWAP to the candle that is either testing or crossing that 200 moving average, because not only is price crossing, we saw price cross yesterday. We saw price cross, not yesterday, sorry, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, we saw price cross, but we never saw volume cross. And what happens? We come back down. But in this case, the moving averages are converging a little bit more, getting a little tighter here. And we see that volume cross. Pretty much as soon as we took the trade, Hogue said, I think we could hold this all day. And I don't disagree because of the strength above that 200 moving average. How do you look at that, Coach Paul? If you're trading it, JD wanted to add to this trade and get into some size. And I had a little bit of hesitations with that. But how do you look at this?
Well, like you said, there's the 200 moving average on a half hour. We talked earlier in the week. When would I want to buy it? Well, it would have to be over the 200 moving average on the half hour. We came in, tested it, stalled for 10 minutes, but when we closed over, and it's not just price, it's close. We closed over it, and did that. You attach that VWAP. Can we see continuing buying? Well, if there's continuous buying, what would happen to VWAP? It would go higher.
Go
It
higher.
would
Yep.
have to. Is it worth the risk? Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
if you can define the risk and you can afford it, and you size it up right on a 2-to-1 basis, you got it. Now, if you can't afford the risk, and yeah, that's one of the things we talk about, the principles of successful traders predetermine the risk. Now, it takes, if you're just looking on a price basis, well, heck, it's already rallied $35, $40 in less than 12 hours. You might be hesitating, which is all right if you don't, but from that moment, if you want to take that trade, was a good trade, but you have to pay for the risk. So looking at that right there, I like to frame out that first candle above it. After it closes above it, determine the risk, tag VWAP.
Yep.
And look at, what's interesting? Look at the volume when it got over the 200.
Oh yeah, that volume sustained, right? That might be a candle, and I think I saw some traders in the chat saying, "Oh, we got a potential J trade here."
Yep.
Potential, right? Sometimes high volume means continuation, and in this case, it did. And that context matters. Could it have happened there? It could have. And I think the other day we actually had a J trade short where we were up above that 200 moving average. We saw a rejection and then closed below, but we never closed below here, right? And this is why we say that candle close is so important because in this case, this is just continuation. Now, was it we were also pretty late on the trend at this point, but there's still a trade here, right? There's still from that opening range long, there's still $12 to the high, right? In gold, that's $1,200 with a one lot mini, 120 with a micro. So there's still some room left here. Like I said, JD wanted to add to this trade, and I think we found a spot to potentially add. We were talking about adding at 33, 83 half, and why 83 half? Because it was 50% of this high volume candle. That's why it was the price I gave out. We didn't add to it. It would have worked out, but Coach Paul, would you have added to this trade?
No.
Why is that?
From a perspective of the daily range,
Mhm.
average true range in gold currently is $49, and we were up at that time almost
We're up 40.
40.
Yep.
So no, I wouldn't have added. I could have taken the trade based on it closing above the 200
Yeah.
and taking the risk, or if I didn't want to, I didn't want to sell it. Unless we had a J trade, some failure. Now there was some possibilities on the 3-minute, but the 5-minute didn't show it. Either way, I didn't like it. I wouldn't have added because it's already finished
Most of the daily move.
80% of the daily range.
Yeah, I think that was the same kind of logic I had, and could it continue higher? It could, but we were so close to that daily range. High to low in gold, we had a $41 range, and the daily ATR is 45. So how much room could we really expect at that point for this to continue? We would have had to have a catalyst, right? On a news type of day, maybe we get that push, but you can see it in the kind of indecision up here right? There's a lot of overlap here. So if you add to a position in this case, you may, kind of ruin the average a little bit, especially if you're not adding. If we added at 83 is great. It would have been a profitable ad. But if that ad was any higher, kind of ruins the position a little bit, and we may be giving a little bit back. So I think it was a good no call, but we held the trade for most of the day, and it worked out. So nice trade there. Would you know what time frame Hogue uses for overnight high and low? Time frame that he uses for overnight high and low? I think it's going to be the same for every
Yeah.
chart that you use, right? But he's starting from 6 p.m. Eastern time, and just looking at the daily candle. Hogue does sometimes use the regular trading hours for highs and lows, right? So he may look at that 8:20 Eastern time open, and then go to settlement, which is right around 1:20 Eastern time. So he may use that, but I think he's just using the daily candle. At 1800, when does he cut off for pre-New York? Overnight high and low. Okay, so yeah, right before the session open, right? So if you look at the equities, he's looking at the overnight session. So from 1800 to 9:30 Eastern time, right? That's the right. As soon as 9:30 Eastern time starts, that's regular trading hours, and then that's when that overnight high and low are set. That's when they're set. Yep, there you go, Rich. All right. Anything else you got on gold, Coach Paul?
No, that's it. I think we've covered it pretty well.
We covered it. Platinum had a nice day today. Nice little rally. We're sitting right at the 200 moving average.
Yeah, it did.
On the 30-minute. We're sitting at the 200 on 30. Yeah, it looks very similar to gold here. What is this here? Man, look at that.
No, but look at that. There was a J trade right there on the half hour.
Right off this low here.
Yep.
That's a nice one. Right at a major level, right? We talk about these whole number levels all the time. Where did this one happen? Right at 1300.
Now, I looked at that trade.
Did you?
And I chose not to take it.
You didn't call me?
No. Well, did you want to risk $500?
Not on platinum. Probably not. You're right.
Yeah, I just didn't want to take the. Now I can look at hindsight.
Right.
Say, yeah. Well, it's
hell yeah, I'm risking
$2,000
$500. Right.
But I didn't want to take the risk. Now it's still under the 200 moving average, but on a 3-minute, maybe I should have called you. Maybe I should have looked at but by the time I see that, it's still a $500 trade. I wasn't looking at a 3-minute candle. But if you were, there it is. I mean, especially at night.
Yeah, we're talking about a 3%, almost a 3% move from that point.
But where did we go to?
Right to the 200 moving average.
Yeah, and yesterday we didn't break yesterday's high.
Nope.
So it's swinging up and down. I didn't want to get involved. The entrance fee was $500.
I hear you.
Right? I know.
Yeah. Player in the chat says, "Scared money don't make money. More bets, more wins. More bets, more losses." Also, so you gotta choose what cards you want to play, what hands you want to play. But I get you there, player. Yeah, more often than not, I'm probably taking this trade. But also, I was not looking at platinum, so I could say it, but I wasn't looking there. We got a question from Lloyd Peterson in the chat. I think Lloyd might be a new viewer. If you're a new viewer, shout it out in the chat. Just say hi, say what's up, put a 1 in the chat, a little wave emoji. If this is your first time watching at the buzzer, we want to thank you for joining. Lloyd wants to know, Coach Paul, why is this called a J trade?
Well, Coach J, being the master of the volume analysis, is and I've been working with Coach J 2 years now.
2 years.
1 year on YouTube, in Discord before that, and he highlighted the trade, which either on the low or the high, where you have making a new low for the day or a new high in the day on big volume. And in this case, if it's the low, it makes new low. You have high volume, and it breaks the high, closes above the high of that candle. You have a selling exhaustion. So it happens so much that we kept on seeing it. I said, I tagged it as a J trade.
Yep. So,
But we have it right here. We have the selling high volume, which was almost quadruple the average volume. Another way to think of that trade, J trade, is the last seller came in.
yeah. Last seller, we found the last seller. Oftentimes it's going to look like a 3-bar reversal, right? Why not just call this a 3-bar reversal? I think what we're adding here is that volume component. Referring to me, Lloyd, yeah, referring to me. And I got to thank Coach Paul for naming this trade. I've said this before, but I'm from New York, and we have a lot of street basketball legends in New York. And the thing is, you can't give yourself your own name. Somebody else has to give it to you. So thank you, Coach Paul.
It's an
But
honor.
what we're looking at here is, it is this a 3-bar reversal? Yes. Does it always have to be a 3-bar reversal? It doesn't, right? Sometimes we see that high volume play out, and we sit in the range of this candle for a little while before we close. But once we close above that range or below that range, right? Because we've seen it to the other side as well, right? We've seen it be a nice short, even though for whatever reason we always see the long a little bit better. That close outside tells the story, right? Because what we're thinking here is, if we found the last seller and they sold a ton of volume down here, right? They sold a ton of contracts. We have a volume candle that's, in this case, almost 6 times the average, exactly 6 times the average in this case. Those sellers met a buyer, right? Now, if you were selling to open here, selling to open a position at a major level, 1300, and price closes above your range, what do you start doing, right? We're imagining that whoever's still short in this has to start covering. Covering met with new buying leads us to a pretty explosive move, right? And we're looking at, there's an entry here on a 3-minute candle. Now, do you hold this the entire day, right? This is an 18-hour trade in platinum. That's up to your management style, but it does show at that point that we did get a reversal. Let me see. Did we get one in the NASDAQ on the lows? We didn't. We didn't. So,
And that gets me suspect. Going back to that,
mm,
I would have preferred a selling climax, and we didn't get it. Basically, just the selling kind of dissipated, and maybe some short covering, but that's not very bullish to me. But we didn't get it.
go ahead. You still there, Coach Raw?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, we didn't get that climax selling. It just dissipated. To me, that is not a good rally. That's kind of weak. Like, you would like to see some really heavy selling, and we didn't get it.
Yep.
So
Yeah. We have some pretty heavy selling here. Is this just a little bit of a relief bounce? I agree with you, Coach Paul. Doesn't look great. We're still inside that monthly candle here or monthly opening candle on the NASDAQ. I'm watching this price, 23,347 half. How does the market respond there? Because buyers are doing what they can to keep this month green so far, but when's the last time we had a red month? That's a that's a indecisive looking monthly candle right there.
boy, is it. Still, every time I bring that monthly, we have that mother of all wicks.
Oh yeah, this one here.
That whole month. was a buy. Now, it's not the end of the month yet. We can't look at the monthly.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. That's true. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Lloyd wants to know also, is the J trade off the 30-minute off the low? In the case of gold, was that gold we were looking at?
yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, that was platinum. Sorry, platinum. In the case of platinum, it was Lloyd. But markets are fractal, right? You'll see that pattern on 3-minute charts, on 30-minute charts, on daily charts. Uh, the concept is still the same. I think for us, for myself, I look at a three more often than not. Coach Paul is usually looking at a 30, which is probably a better trade. Uh, but yeah, it's really whatever time frame you decide to use. The concept is still the same. You want a candle close outside that range. Um, but good question. There was one on the Nasdaq, but we didn't see. Oh, you said, is there one? Is this one on the Nasdaq? Not necessarily, because Coach Paul, would you consider this a J trade on the Nasdaq here at this low?
No, because it wasn't the highest volume of the day.
Right.
And to me, that one, that I wouldn't consider that. I think that there was what we're seeing. Going back to this is kind of liquidation of longs.
Yep.
Not more of the people getting short, institutions getting shorts, but just taking money off the table.
Right.
So no, I don't consider that. Especially it's the third highest. I like it. I like it clean, and you should. I don't like that. If I have to ask, is it? Then it's not.
It's not. The volume should be obvious. That volume
Yeah,
should be obvious. So like a lot of times, it's especially if you're looking at a 3-minute chart, the volume might be higher than the opening candle, which really shouldn't happen unless something happens, right? Unless there's some type of catalyst or news event or we hit a major level. The opening and the close should be the highest volume. So when you see something spike up in the middle of the day, it's something to pay attention to. And we just didn't really get that. I think we kind of just ran out of sellers here. We did have a nice reversal. It just wasn't that same characteristic. But 3-bar reversal down there. Dakota took that long. Really nice trade there. Let's take a look at crude oil. Coach Paul, on the daily, what are we looking at here in crude?
well,
Consolidation.
what was it? Record lows, record shorts. I mean,
Yep.
this market is it's at value. Can we say that? What do I mean by value? It's balanced. We're spending what, the second week now.
Yep.
But it still isn't over the daily 200. That would make me interested in buying it. But what are we doing? One other term for this is coiling. So it's tightening up the range, tightening low volume. There is no imbalance, but when something coils and it unleashes, it can be violent. We're there yet? No. Had a nice trade to the upside today, but really, if we look at it, it just went through yesterday, the day before is high. So it's not finished coiling. But some great for you range traders. This is good stuff.
Yes, it is.
This could be the mother of all ranges.
Mother of all ranges until a catalyst that gets us out of here. And similar to kind of what we saw in the equities on a shorter time frame, or what we've seen in gold last year, right? We consolidated for 3 months and then had a pretty explosive move once things started going. So once we break out of this range, if we break out of this range, when we break out of this range, is it a move that I want to fade? Probably not. But for right now, it is a range until it isn't. It's a range until it is not. That $63 level is interesting. We've rejected there a couple of times recently. We're opening up close to it for tonight's session, so it'll be interesting to watch the 63 level here. All right. Any other markets you want to talk about, Coach Paul? Chat, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in there. Also, if you're purchasing accounts from any prop firm or anything in general, usually anything anywhere, it's probably good to read what the stipulations of
Rules.
those accounts are. And seriously, because we don't want anyone to be like, hey, I didn't know. Babak, I see you in the chat. You made $9,000 today in that account in your combine, but you got to do it again. Don't put unnecessary rules on yourself with your trading, right? You could have had 2 days in that account or however many days. We suggest not to rush through the combines, but just make sure you read the rules, right? Especially, with Topstep, the rules are pretty clear on what you have to do to get to payouts. But I know people trade with other prop firms and things like that. You never want to be in a situation where you do a whole bunch of work and then unfortunately you can't get paid for it. So make sure you read. Make sure you read. The only thing I never read was like the manuals for video games. Me and my brother, like when we were kids, we would just buy a new video game, just throw it right in, and we just like, we'll just figure it out. We just want to play. I don't want to read. It's not time to read. It's time to play. But there is some money to be made here on the the result of your good trading. So you want to make sure you're aware of all circumstances.
Well, also, just so you know, the the game, not the game. Oh, the game. This game to get funded is to show consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You can make $9,000 in a day, but is that consistency?
Yep.
Oh, it's about money management and time survivorship. One of the things I will tell you is to think, why are you doing this? Oh, why is it called a combine? To see if you can make it to the other league, to the big leagues.
Yep.
To be in the big leagues, you have to be consistent, and that's why it's called a consistency rule. It can be frustrating, but I'm going to ask you to turn the table. You have some money. Your nephew comes to you, says, I know I've got it figured out. Lend me $50,000. I made $9,000 today.
Yeah.
Are you going to give it to him?
You have to at least show me twice, right? Because otherwise it could be luck. At least twice.
So remember, you're here to show you can manage an account. I hope that helps you.
Good stuff, Coach Paul. Good stuff. And Babak in the chat agrees. All right. Any other markets we want to take a look at, Coach Paul? Anything on your scouting report?
Yeah, we had a little break in Bitcoin again.
Here we are on the daily in Bitcoin.
It's kind of looking like the NASDAQ. That's
exactly like it.
Went up. It is. It's a tech stock now. But hanging it closed yesterday below that 50. Is it turning? Well, no. It looks heavy. Probably the best time to buy Bitcoin is when it looks heavy.
Yep.
But it's something I have on my radar. I don't want to get short down here, but if we look at the 30 and it gets above the 200, I'm going to looking for an opportunity. Now, on a half hour, was that a J trade? Not. Yeah.
They both were. Sorry, I'm talking on mute, but they both kind of were. This one up at the high.
Yeah.
That was the highest volume of the day at that point. Right off that 50 moving average on the 30-minute. We closed below it. We don't see many of these to the short side, but this was one. Did we get a 2-to-1 on this trade?
No.
Short here. Risk above the high. We got close.
We
we did.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And why are we looking at a 2-to-1, Coach Paul?
Well, we're day traders. It's reasonable return on risk. If I have a trading plan that runs at 50%, okay, 50% winners and losers, right? If I'm at 1-to-1, I'm I'm not getting anywhere.
Right.
2-to-1, it's reasonable. If I can do that over time, that account is going to grow. If I'm looking for 5-to-1s, and I'm in one, I'm in one market,
Yeah. Could be
it's
tough.
not going to happen. It might happen in spurts like we saw in March, April, but it's not reasonable. 2-to-1 is. So if anytime on a day trade I can get a 2-to-1, wow. If I could go to the track and bring $100 and come back with 200, okay, well, I'm kind of done.
Right.
But over a longer period of time, it enables you to survive up, down when you're on the wrong side of it, and be rewarded consistently because it takes time to build an account. So I like the 2-to-1.
Yeah,
The
I like
math
that.
works.
And that 2-to-1, right? We're not talking about, trading with a 10-point stop in the NASDAQ, right? If you know the Coach Paul suggestion, or if we look at these J trade suggestions, right? Because this isn't even a 2-to-1 here. Sorry, this isn't a two ATR risk, right? Coach Paul's suggestion is going to normally be two ATRs on the time frame that you take the trade. We're looking at a 30-minute chart here. This stop would be up here, right? $700 in Bitcoin, where we still do get pretty close to a 2-to-1 at these lows, right? We didn't off by a tick, off by a tick. So it depends on your entry, but these aren't going to be small trades, right? So could I get a 10-to-1 if I'm risking 1 point in the Nasdaq? Yeah, I could, but how many times am I going to get stopped out with a 1 point stop loss? Um, these are it's risk based on the market movement, and taking that into account, but still, capturing a pretty big trade. Coach Paul, somebody had asked this a couple of months ago, maybe. What's the one thing as a day trader that you would, try to learn to do? It's risk management first, obviously, but whatever trading strategy you use, for me, with how often we've seen this 2-to-1 risk to reward play out with good trade location, it would be to try to figure out how to trade with that 2-to-1 risk to reward with a 2 ATR stop. If traders could learn how to do that, and you're going to have to learn how to size accordingly, because a lot of times what happens is if you look at a 2 ATR stop on a 30-minute chart in the Nasdaq, or even let's go down to a reasonable time frame. If we're looking at 2 ATRs in the Nasdaq on the 5-minute today, we're talking about an 80-point stop. Now, if you're a newer trader, if you're trading minis or trading over leverage, you're looking at an 80-point stop. Like, he's just telling us to blow accounts, because if I trade with an 80-point stop, my entire drawdown is gone, even with a one lot. Well, not technically, but
But practically.
practically, right? You're giving yourself 3 trades. But what you'll learn in doing that and trading with that 2 ATR stop is position sizing, right? If I measure that stop and say, hey, this is way too expensive, it only has to be that expensive. It being that expensive is a function of the contract that you're trading, right? So you scale down and you trade micros, and then it's a more reasonable stop, and you'll see yourself probably sit in better trades instead of having to scalp every move. That would be my suggestion. Gotta thank Coach Paul for that.
No, you're
Uh,
welcome.
all right, let's take a look. We got 2 requests. One for the euro. Any moves looking good into the Asia market? Ryan, I'm gonna be on slow markets with Dakota tonight. We'll take a look. What are we looking at here in the euro, Coach Paul?
It's kind of turning over. Still in a bull market, but we talked about this yesterday. We're having a cross. We've been on the 20 under the 50, where we've been above since February. it needs to start rallying. Look at today's candle. It tried last night. It started the break. It got nowhere.
Playing tennis here.
Playing, yeah, Pong. Um, Now let's look at the half hour.
What's that white line up there?
You got it. Now, here there was it there was a J trade there from the opening. Was that the opening
So
last
this
night?
right here is 1 a.m. Central Time.
Okay,
We had
London,
we had a ton of
Europe.
news coming out in Europe last night. And I think someone said in New Zealand the reason for that move was a rate cut. But we had a ton of news coming out in Europe last night. And then this is the Europe session open that closed above that high. Pretty nice trade there.
Yeah, and where did it go to?
Right to the 200.
So let's frame that out. That 200 when it first hit it. What price was that? Let's put a line.
Let's put a line there. And Andrew said it in the chat. That 200 moving average on the 30-minute is crazy. It really is. Like, I don't know how many times we see markets respond very strongly to this level. And again, it's not going to be the same response every time. We saw gold cross it and give us a pretty good trade. Let's look at the candle that tested that 200 moving average. Here's the 3-minute candle that tested it, Coach Paul, the first time. What do we get? As soon as we tested it, volume died, never crosses above that 200 moving average. Price does, volume never did. So even if I don't get short, if I'm long here, I might want to start thinking about position management.
Yeah, say I bought it. It closed above it on the 3-minute, but not on the half hour.
Right.
So you frame out, let's say now, as we get in, we closed above it on a 3-minute. Now we can frame that out because that is now the high of the night and it closed above it. What you want to see, is it going to fail? Well, there's a good possibility.
Right.
They had to travel far. I mean, it's like if you ever run a marathon, people start failing at about the 18-mile marker.
I know that very well. I know that
You do?
very,
Have you run one?
very well. Yeah, I was training for. So there was that bombing that unfortunately happened in the Boston Marathon. I was training to run the next one. Going to be such a big race. So I trained for it, and then I ran a qualifying race at mile 18. In the qualifying race, my legs stopped working.
At the 18-mile, yeah.
At mile 18, my legs just stopped working.
It's also called the FU mile.
Yep.
Because all you hear is or MF.
Yep.
Motherfucker, man. I'm boy, you qualifying for Boston is very tough. You're a runner.
I was planning on running a 240.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah,
That's competitive.
240, but nope. My legs said otherwise.
I've finished 2 in Chicago. Now it's flat.
Nice.
That's why people love to come here.
Yeah.
Except for when the wind is blowing against you.
Yeah.
It's no fun. It is the windy city. But going back, at that point, it's like the 18, either it's going to, like gold,
Yeah.
you're going to finish, or it's going to die out. Here, I'm playing a scenario. First time, let's see if you can finish. And it didn't. And boy, it didn't do it all day.
Hit the wall. No, it came back up came back up there again. Same thing. No volume above. Really nice rejection spot. So, that 200 moving average, is it going to tell you exactly what the trade is for the day? No. But let's say you just waited for the market to get there, right? Where you might have seen the euro or whatever market you trade in the middle somewhere here, and you're like, I don't really have a trade here. Do I long it into it? Do I wait? We don't have to catch the entire part of a move in order to be good day traders, right? Our job is to take a piece of the middle. Now, if I identify this, maybe I use a platform that sets alerts. We'll have alerts eventually on Topstep X as well. But what if I just set an alert at the 200 moving average and I said, I'm only going to trade once we get there. Because once we get there, I have a framework to base a trade off of. If we test it with a candle and volume doesn't trade above it, that's an opportunity for me to limit risk to the on a short above this high. If we do what we did in gold with the candle that tested it, that volume left the range to the upside. This is an opportunity, and very small risk here. This is an opportunity for me to take a long, get in the flow with this market, because it's showing since it hit this point, and that 200 moving average is such a pivotal level from what we've seen most times. Is this an opportunity for me to limit risk? Now, I'm talking about a 3-minute candle. We're talking about 4 points of risk here in gold, not even 2.5. Not a bad way to look at that. Where a lot of times I think we look at charts, Coach Paul, and sometimes it's like, if you're looking at a chart, depending on what time you're looking at a chart during the day, you might feel like you got dropped in the middle of the ocean, right? And I'm trying to find, something to gauge where I am. Where, if we have a great move in the overnight session, what do I do, right? Is there anything left for me to trade here? I don't think that's a bad way to do it. We saw the euro, we saw gold make some pretty big moves overnight. You're not lost. You just got to wait.
Yeah, you just pick a spot. And in this point, either you accept that I like the 200 moving average. I've watched it for a long time. Let's see what it does there.
Yep.
Now, what is that?
What's that? What are you looking at?
On that chart, right? That's gold.
Oh, this is gold. Yeah.
On the 3-minute.
Yeah. You're looking at this candle here?
No, I was looking at the 200 moving average.
Oh, this is on the 3-minute. Yeah, that's on the 3-minute. My bad. Here it is on the 30. We're well above it.
Yeah.
Richard Harris, you're going long in what market? What market are you going long? We are above time. We got 8 minutes before Coach Hooper. We got a ZB request here, and I think we had another request, the Nikkei. We'll do these real quick. ZB, Coach Paul, on the daily, what are we looking at?
The 200 moving average and the 20. We wicked there, settled in the middle of the range. Hardly a bullish move. But let's see what happens if we can close with the 20 above the 200 also. Half hour, it's just kind of stale. But we did close the first time we touched it, and we closed above it, and this failed.
Yeah, it did. Sometimes they're going to fail. Volume stayed above it.
But I don't think anything's going to happen in the bonds until the chairman speaks after Jackson Hole. And even then it might not happen. So, yeah, it was a tough day on all sides. But still needs to clear the 200. Let's look at the Nikkei. Looks very much like the S&P.
That's it looks like the S&P, we made new all-time highs 2 days ago. Pulling back just a little bit, are we a little extended? Could we see a reversion back to this 20 moving average? Monthly open is down here. Got monthly VWAP 42,181. What is this huge candle here? I would be looking at, okay, so look at this. On the daily, we have whatever this huge volume is. We traded through it, back above it, and the 20 moving average on the daily is sitting right there. If the Nikkei is going to sell off, that's the first place I'm looking for as a target. 41,855 is that high, or 41,800 is that high. An interesting spot there. On the 30, we're below the 200 moving average. We got below it yesterday, Coach Paul.
On a 30?
Mm-hmm. And holding this looks exactly like the S&P.
Yeah, it does. So look at that. Now the Nikkei, look at where the volume is so dispersed. But technically, there's the 200. We touch it how many times? until we close below it.
Yeah. Okay. Here we bounced a couple of times. This was yesterday. Nope. This was last night.
Yep.
It was last night. When does the volume come in for the Asia session? Right about here. So a little earlier than expected. But again, there was a lot of data out last night. I saw there was some news about Japan on the economic calendar. We can see the largest volume of the day. That's that Asia session open, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Central. And sometimes high volume means continuation. Technically, was this the highest volume of the day at the time? It was pretty close to the low as well. So could it have been a reversal? It could have been. But what didn't we get in this case? We never got a close above. So we attach VWAP there, right? And what happens? It leaves the range to the downside. So even if you don't sell this, all right, there's not a great buy signal here.
No.
Just what the flow of the market is telling
Hadn't
us.
stopped
Right.
or continuation.
Mm-hmm.
It continues.
Yeah. Nice continuation there. Retesting 2024 highs at 40. A lot of markets we covered today, a lot of opportunity out here in the market. Coach Paul, you got anything before we go?
Yeah. Just to go back and go back to the question of making 9,000. Good job. You saw something. But just keep in front of mind, your job here is to be a consistent trader and manage money. I think we don't really, we kind of forget that. If you're capable, and it's a longer game than we would like, but if you show that, there's a lot of money for you to handle. And if you don't show it, who's going to give you the money? We're not here because we're sitting on millions of dollars. But keep that in mind, that when you do that, that's front of mind, and you treat it like a business. You're going to become a better trader, and that's it.
Good stuff, Coach Paul. And Claude says, trust your edge. Yep. Definitely agree with you there. We got Coach Hoop doing a class in Discord coming up in the next 3 minutes. He's going to be talking about cattle. Cattle made all-time highs. Hoop is yelling it in the chat to whoever wants to hear him. While everyone is trying to figure out what these crazy equities are doing, cattle just keeps going up. Not great for stake prices, but it is what it is. Maybe you could make some money on the cattle charts and subsidize your stake purchases. Coach Hoop coming.
Unfortunately, there's no micro cattle.
No mini cows.
Little cows, because it's really kind of too expensive to trade right now.
Yeah.
Or buy. I quit eating meat.
Oh man. We got Coach Hoop coming up in a little bit, and then Coach Ray and Coach Vince in Discord, 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central Time. Of course, Dakota with slow markets tonight at 7:30. Aaron should be doing the London Open tomorrow, 1:30 a.m. Central Time, and then D with the Euro trade at 3:30 Central. I'll see you all back for, actually, I'm on slow markets tonight, so I'll see you then. And if not, for the opening call, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. Like and subscribe. Tell us what we're doing well here or what else you want to see. Thanks and shout out to all of our new viewers. Welcome here to all of our first and last time listeners. We appreciate you. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.